Hi, and welcome to the Warrior Moms podcast. I'm your host, Trina Rothman, and joining me tonight is Dr. Tameka Maiden with Cubby Love Bears. And I'm really excited for us to talk about the product that she has created, or the products that she has created to help out not only little children learn, learn English and Spanish, but as well as help autistic children or nonverbal children be able to communicate some basic needs. So thank you so much, Tameka, for joining the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited because when I found you, I think I was watching something like an old news clip, and it like played like something from like local news, and then we're both in the same city. So that's crazy that like we're just two Houstonians out there trying to change the world. So I really love that you're from Houston too. So before we get started, I just want to say that we are a live interactive show. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask them in the comments. If you're watching from our page on Facebook or our community on Facebook, we will see your comments. It's also on my personal page. We will see your comments, but if it's anything on the follow-up, you'll have to reach out to us through Messenger if you have questions after the show. So all of that being said, I'm so glad to have Dr. Maiden on the show, Tameka. So please give us a little bit of your background.
As she said, I am Dr. Maiden. I am currently a pharmacist, worked formerly as a school teacher. So I taught second grade for about 3 years, and then just decided that I wanted to do something that I dreamed of doing, even before I became a teacher. And so, like I said, I'm a pharmacist, born and raised from Houston, lived in Houston my whole 38 years, have never left. I am a mother to an amazing 4-year-old. Her name is Tori. So we're just kind of going through life, figuring it out as a mom and as a full-time pharmacist. And during the journey of that, that's when I started to create these cuddly Cubby Love Bears. And it all started when my daughter was first learning to talk, and we were trying to learn her colors, and she just could not get it. One day she had it down packed, then the next day red was blue. And so I was originally trying to do a clothing line for the bears. And then that's when I saw the logo of my bears and just started to create a bear that helped her learn her colors. And I always wanted to learn Spanish. So that's how the whole Spanish thing came into play. And then so I found a manufacturer, we got it going, and Cubby Love Bears was birthed.
That's so awesome. So how long have you been around?
I've been around now for only a year. I sat on the idea since Tori for about 3 years, I guess. But just afraid to jump. You have that idea and you think that everyone will love, and then you put it out there and you're like, I don't know. But then once I saw that it helped her, and then I started giving it to, my friends who were teachers, it's like, wow, this actually does work. So yeah, on the market for a year now.
I love that. So I also like that you touched on the fact that, like I had this idea and I was afraid to jump because, putting yourself out there, being vulnerable with your ideas is really the hardest and biggest first step for anything. So I love that you said that, because I hope that it inspires other moms, other people are out there, not necessarily even moms, but just other people out there who are sitting on some idea that they can't move forward with. So actually, this is kind of off the subject, but I posted a meme today on Facebook on my personal page, and it was just like, if you give a writer a notebook, they are never going to write in that notebook because they're never going to feel that they're going to find the perfect content for that. And so I actually have some of my notebooks here for that exact reason, because I've got these ideas in my head and I won't jump. I'm trying to find them because there's a bunch of stuff right here, but I won't make the jump because I'm too afraid to go forward. I'm too afraid to be vulnerable and like put myself out there. Like all of these different notebooks are just a pile on my desk and I treasure them. But yes, that's so wonderful that you actually leaned into vulnerability and are out there doing amazing things, because you said you're a single mom to a 4-year-old, you're a full-time pharmacist, and you're creating a wonderful product that's going to help so many children. And I just love it. And so one of the things that really appealed to me, because you created, like you said, you created something that was to teach your daughter colors and to teach your daughter Spanish and to teach yourself as well.
Right.
But you took it a step further. And this is what I think is so amazing. You created a bear for nonverbal children.
Yes, yes. And see, with that one was very dear to me. And how it all came about, honestly, was because working, you deal with a lot of different customers or patients in a sense, and they come to you with a lot of questions. Just because we're readily available to them, you can walk in and talk to a pharmacist at any time. And there was always this little boy. He was always with mom, and he would just come by and just wave at me. And, I didn't think anything of it until I kind of started talking to mom and finding out more about him. And I realized that he was nonverbal. And my mind just started going. And I was like, well, I have these bears that could communicate. Why not create a bear for someone who can't, communicate? And so that's when I started talking to other moms who were autistic. I talked to his mom and saw, what were some things that she, would have challenges with. And then once I started to develop and started, creating the bear, it just seemed like a whole village of autistic moms or parents came about and just was like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. And I just ran with it after that. So yeah, this one is very dear to my heart, just because Ozzy, we have I have a child who can communicate. I can't fathom as a mom not knowing, what my child wants or needs or, things like that. So all of my bears are special, but Ozzy just holds a special place in my heart, just because I feel like I'm giving back and I'm helping, someone that could truly, truly benefit from a product as such. So yeah, Ozzy is special to me.
I think he's amazing, because you gave me a demonstration of him. Do you want to show everybody Ozzy?
Yeah, so this is Ozzy. So Ozzy has different features. He has symbols on his ears for if the child is not feeling well. You can press the sick, has a little heart with the thermometer, and it says, "Can you help me? I'm feeling sick." Because a lot of times the kids who are sick, they're crying and you don't know what's wrong with them. So that way it gives them a signal of something that's not right, or if they just want to play. And the reason why I picked this one was because I had one of my best friend's little girl who was autistic, and I didn't know she was autistic. And mom was sick, so I took her to Chuck E. Cheese. And like I said, I never knew, and she would just run off. And when she ran off, I was like, oh my God. And I had my daughter with me, not knowing that she wanted to play. So that's how the "Will you play with me?" came about. And so I embedded a light into it, so that way, if the bear goes off, it gives a signal to either the parent or the caregiver that they're trying to communicate something. So it has a countdown button if they want to eat, if they want to potty, and if they're sleepy, and of course, if they want to play.
That's awesome. And I love that not only does he look like he's super soft, but I like that his eyes are not like what's the, like beads, I guess.
Yes, and a lot of people, I'm glad you caught on to that, because a lot of people always ask me, why don't I have any, eyes in my bears? But as I studied autistic kids, they have difficulties with communicating with eye connection. So I wanted them to have a friend to where they would build a connection with. And so once I did that, even if, with my other bears that I have, they don't have the eye connection as well. So even if the parents wanted them to know their numbers or different things like that, they could tap into any of my bear line versus just Ozzy. I'm glad you recognize that.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. I'm glad I recognized that too, because that's such a caring and thoughtful addition to your line. That's really, really amazing.
And a lot of people, and Trina, a lot of people would ask me, like, you need to put eyes in your bears. Even I have a mascot. I have a Cubby Love Bear mascot. And my mascot doesn't have eyes either. And that is the reason why, because I wanted him to have the versatility of being among all kids, not just kids, and I didn't want nonverbal kids or kids with autistic to be scared of him. I wanted them to feel loved as well. And like I said, they're so cuddly. And that's why I did a bear, because, most kids who are autistic, they love tangible things. Mm-hmm. Most of them either carry a blanket or an iPad or whatever. So I was like, why not have this cuddly friend that they can carry around all the time, anywhere they go? And like you said, it's soft and cuddly. So that's awesome. You're my girl now.
Yes. So my daughter, I don't think I even told you this. My daughter didn't talk much until she was 5. She would talk to me. She would talk a little bit to her dad, but she really wasn't a communicator. And so that, my daughter's about to be 15. Oh my God. So my daughter's about to be 15. So obviously Cubby Love Bears didn't work for her then. Right. But it would have been, I guarantee you, I would have been like, we would have had the whole line because I wanted to help her communicate.
Yes. And so, that's what I get from a lot of moms. Like, where were you, when I was, and that's the thing. And I guess that goes back to my teaching background. When we start them early, their brains are like sponges, even with my bilingual bears, even with these bears, with Ozzy. You can start them off very, very young when they're trying to communicate, when they're trying to learn how to potty. Because my good friend, daughter, she couldn't verbally say that she needed to go to the potty. So at 3 years old, they were still trying to potty train, but it wasn't because she wasn't capable. It's just, she just couldn't communicate. So if we could have started her off with Ozzy as she was transitioning into talking and learning and different things, I think it would have brought her a little bit further. So that's why I tell a lot of times, if we start them early, and that's with anything, even with, talking or learning a second language. Tori, at 1 year old, she knew her colors in English and Spanish. And like I said, I just tapped into that teacher mommy mode that I had. And that's how the line came about.
That's awesome. No, I love this. So can we see one of your bilingual bears?
So this is the newest one that I have out. So this is Tezzy. Tezzy does the shapes and colors in English and Spanish. So if you press the paw, so like this one, well, it's kind of, we're opposite. So this one is a circle. So you press it.
Green, circle, green, verde, circle.
So this one, I forgot. This one you have to hold it. Hold on, let me try again.
Okay.
Verde, circle, círculo.
So it says it in English, and then it repeats it in Spanish, and then it says the shape in English, and then it says it in Spanish. So it has the square, the triangle, the heart, and then the star. So it says it in the color. So this one is really, really, parents really, really love this one as well because it does 2 things.
Yeah, that one's super cute too. I like all the little faces on the all the shapes.
And even with this, I pick red and blue just because this one was made during the pandemic. So this was during the time when we were trying to figure out what was going on with America. So I made it red, white, and blue. And symbolism of this will always remind me that I made this bear during the pandemic.
Oh, I love that. See, you have all these little Easter eggs to things, Oh, I love that.
Yes.
some great little things behind, like, that's in writers, we like the foreshadowing, like where we give you everything that's going to happen in the first part of the story. So I like that about you. So we've got a lot of people commenting. So let's see. Mandy Lee Demke, she says, you are amazing, a huge inspiration. And Mandy Lee was on the show a few weeks ago, and she's equally inspiring too. So, I mean, there's some.
Thank you, Mandy.
That's the great thing about being on the Warrior Moms podcast, is that we know so many amazing and wonderful women. I'm sorry, my camera just kind of went. Okay. So, we have a comment from Maya Animator. Stuff like this is ordained by God. I mean, truly, because you were just like, I've got all these different ideas. And then when you put it all together, you came out with an amazing product line. You came out with something that is going to help so many people. And let's see. Felicia Wagner says, many nonverbal youth and caregivers will benefit from Ozzy. What an amazing creation.
Thank you.
Thinking about your story with taking your friend to taking your friend's daughter to Chuck E. Cheese, like, I can think of so many times where I could have used an Ozzy, not even with a nonverbal child, just like a little young child who I was helping my friend babysit, and they're not talking to me.
I love you, Trina. I love you. You blew my vision. Oh my God. Yes. And that's what I try to tell, even with Ozzy. I said, Ozzy is good for even, trying to get kids into transition as they're learning to eat and potty and different things like that. So Ozzy serves many purposes. It's, not only for just nonverbal kids, but kids are trying to transition into learning to talk and, building a connection with things around the world.
So that's awesome. So do you have any, like, what do you have coming up in the pipeline? Do you have any, like, Easter eggs you want to drop there?
Yeah, Trina.
Oh, okay.
So I have a special one that we're brewing out now. I'm in the process of making it. That will be for Christmas, and it's going to be super, super cool. I know. And this one, kids and adults will be able to benefit from it. So I'm super excited about bringing it on board. But yes, I do have something in the pipeline.
That is awesome, because, I want to make sure that the audience knows that you do this yourself. You are just like me with Warrior Moms. You are a one-woman team. Like, you are brainificating and ideating out there, and you are doing all this while raising your daughter, while working as a full-time pharmacist. You are doing all these amazing things.
Thank you. Yes.
All on your own.
Yes. And what, like the comment said, it has to be God. I honestly, I don't know how it came about. I have a guideline, but the vision of it, the expansion of just how far the brand can go, it's God. Like like I said, I told you yesterday, we were just kind of sharing off air. I worked from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then I went to Skyping, with the manufacturer to build this bear. So I just truly believe when God gives you something and, you have a passion for it. And I've always had a passion for kids, even before I had my own. And so when I left being a school teacher, I felt like I left my kids behind, and I felt like I was, like I had did a disservice to them, because everyone loved Miss Maiden. All the teachers, I was young, I was fun, I loved to learn, I loved kids, and they felt comfortable leaving their, kids in my hands. So when I left, my heart was broken. And so when the Cubby Love Bears came up, about, I was like, man, I can now reach so many kids on such a larger scale, and I can impact so many and empower them through communication, because we know communication is the number one key to everything in life, So I'm like, now I can empower so many with such, a small tool in my eyes. But, as I think of it, this is here for generations to come.
Absolutely. So you said communication is the key to everything. So I have said that, like I said, my daughter was nonverbal. And so when I would talk to her teachers, they were like, well, we need to do this with her. We need to get her like doing all this. I was like, no, like the focus needs to be reading,
Yes.
writing, and communication. Because if you have those three, you have some amazing tools to move forward in life.
Yes.
I mean, if you can communicate, you can get your needs met.
Yes.
And so, oh, I love it.
Yes.
So that's something that I've always been, again, a writer. So
Yes.
I understand the importance of communication in the written word.
And that's what's like, even, and like I tell a lot of times when I talk and I go out and I, speak of why the Bears came about, and I tell parents, you may not see the benefit of it now, but just imagine if, once our kids become of age, speaking of, like I say, Tori, a college degree will be nothing. There's so many people obtaining degrees. Even on jobs, they want to know what stands you apart from the next candidate, and if you can speak another language. I know with me, how much, that would help me on my job. Sometimes, I'm even, I'm down on myself so much that I can't communicate with someone who can't speak English, and a lot of people always say, well, they come over to the country, they should learn. Of course, but you would be surprised of overseas. They use English they know our English, like they know it, they can speak it. So they're bilingual. When I'm Skyping overseas, they speak it. They are having contests, English contests, so that kids can learn how to speak our language. And that's how a lot of times, I go into my teacher mode, a lot of times our kids, are so behind in that sense because we don't push the communication aspect of everything in life. And it does make a difference.
Absolutely. I remember when I was in high school, I took French because I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I knew that a lot of texts were, old laws were written either in French or Latin. And they didn't offer Latin at my school, but I also wouldn't have taken it. But anyway, so I took French, and there was one kid that took Mandarin. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, this kid is going to crush it when he's in his like later age. And then I like every time I meet somebody who's like, it's very rare, but every time I meet someone who's like split between like Chinese, like Mandarin or some Asian derived language, I'm always like, man, you are in high demand.
Yes. And now that you say that, that's what I plan to do in the future. I plan to add Mandarin to the Bears just because, like I said, overseas, they're having English contests. You know how we have spelling bees here? Well, they have a contest of their kids learning to speak English. And the top 3 most influential languages are Spanish, English, and Mandarin. So those are one of the future things that I want to embed into my Bears as well.
That's awesome. That's really good. So I have younger siblings, and I was taking, at this point in time, American Sign Language. And I remember teaching my little sister, she was baby, like the baby. I taught her sign language. So, cause like, I was like, my sign language teacher was like, oh yeah, you can teach anybody sign language. Like you're saying, cause their brains are sponge. But here I am, 15-year-old me, just trying to like do something cool with my little sister.
Right.
So to this day, she still uses sign language when she's talking, and she doesn't even realize that she's signing. So
wow. Yeah,
that's how good this is for kids at this young age. And my family, my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, she is married to a Vietnamese man. And so they, his family speaks Vietnamese and English. And it's so funny because like one of his nieces, not my niece, but one of his nieces was walking around, and she was just going between 3 different languages. And like everyone was like, hey, pick a language. Cause like she was so little, she just was like, I don't know, this is how I know it in my brain.
Yeah. It's amazing. And even with them learning a second language, it helps with their cognitive skills. It helps them with memory skills. I mean, and people may think it's funny, but my child, we were looking at pictures from, this was even before she was even talking or walking. and she had a pacifier in a bottle. And we were looking at the pictures, and she said she could tell me verbatim where she was, who the things that she had that was around. It was like a hat and different things, who the hat belonged to, whose magazines. And I'm like, wow, you remember that? But like I said, I started her learning with the Bears. And like even now, she's supposed to be in pre-K. She's now in kindergarten. So she's in school with 5 and 6 year olds, and she's only 4. But, everyone tells me that she's so smart. And I'm like, the teachers were telling me it's because of those Bears, because it helps them, it stimulates other sides of their brain cells when they're able to tap into, another language. And now that she's back in school, we don't do so much of the, of the Bears anymore in Spanish. But the way I've created and the repetition of the Bears, I can just say lunes. I say, I asked her, I said, how do you say the days of the week in Spanish? And she'll go like, Mommy, I don't remember. And just from my Bears, I'll say lunes. And she'll go lunes, martes, miércoles. She can recite it in her head just from hearing, what was embedded in the Bears. So it works. It works.
It definitely does. And so I want to talk about, like, this is something else that, again, I haven't talked to you about this, but this is how I feel about language. And I'm sure you probably share this, is that when you meet somebody who knows multiple languages or English isn't their first language, I've seen, because I feel like maybe more so now than ever, society hasn't been very forgiving to people who maybe aren't very good at communicating in English. But you have to understand, like, when I speak to somebody and English isn't their first language, they have to now take what I said in English, translate it into their native language so that they can process it. So if we're teaching children at a young age these extra, like an additional language that, maybe isn't normally spoken in the home, but we're teaching them a second language, we're also embedding compassion into them, because now they're going to understand from the
love you, Trina.
Thank you. They're going to understand from the time that they're little how the language process works. Because a lot of people my age, I'm in my 30s, you're in your 30s. A lot of people our age, it's kind of a split. Some people have a second language, but people who are like their 40s, 50s and older, they're single language. And so I think that that's another really great and positive thing to have these children learn additional languages, because they're going to learn and understand and find compassion for somebody who speaks English as a second or maybe even just a third language.
Yes. And now that you say that, it brings me, because like I said, my mind just kind of goes, and I'm such a person who wants to save the world, but I know that I can't. But, when I created the Bears, my thought into everything was, even if you have, a little child who comes and Spanish is their first language, if I could just have, let's just say, Tori, she may not can speak it fluently, but she knows just a little bit, to now that this kid feels comfortable and feels like, now I have made a friend, so even, like you said, as an adult, a lot of times when you don't know the dominant language, whatever, even if we were to go to Mexico or even to China or Japan, whatever, just imagine being in a country where you know nothing, you feel so empowered, you feel so fearful, you're scared to talk. So just imagine, you're meeting someone and they know language. You feel like, oh my God, you saved me, in a sense.
Yes.
So that's the same thing I wanted the kids to have, even from the ones who don't know Spanish, or even the ones who don't know English. It helps them to bridge the gap of communication and different cultures. So yeah, you hit it right on the nail.
Well, that's so awesome, because they're like you're only a year old, so just think of all the amazing things that you have yet to accomplish. I mean, because I feel like you have that. I feel like when you have passion, which you obviously do, when you have passion, there's a will and there's a way. I mean, like we said, you full-time job, full-time mom, coming up with all these different things. When you have your passion, there's a will and there's a way, and God opens doors, because all these different connections, all these different thoughts. And now, like with Warrior Moms, myself, like we're still very new. And I've got all these different ideas, and I'm just waiting to get bigger to start implementing those ideas. Like, I know that you must be so excited for all the things that you have.
Oh my God. Yes.
You should get one of those books. Like, maybe I'll write in one of my journals now. So like, I know that must be something that is happening for you. And I just love it. I love it. I love a woman in business. I love a woman, a mom who is out there doing things, following her dreams, and not letting anybody say that she can't do anything because you're a mom or because you're a woman or anything like that.
Yes. Yes. And I agree. Yes. It's like, when I'm tired, when I'm going to work, I don't mind, because I know that even if it's just small, I'm impacting a child, and these kids are our future, like I want them to be strong. I want them to be smart. I want them to be loving, and with so much going on in the world, it's kind of like, what can I do? What can I do on my magnitude of what I've created? And like I said, even with Ozzy, I'm just like, Ozzy is not getting the recognition that it should get, but I know in due time, once, the world sees, like I said, I have to understand I'm only a year in it, but I know once it gets out into the world, into the atmosphere, it's gonna, because there's so many things that can be done, even with kids who, I was talking to one of my good friends, Felicia, that just kind of made the comment, and she works with, she's a social worker. And so she was just saying of how useful the bears, are with kids who are, sometimes they're taken from their homes. And just imagine in a strange environment, they're fearful to talk. They don't know these people, and how the bears can help them just communicate, of what they want, so it's a number of things that can be done with these bears. And like I said, I keep saying, whoever made the comment that it's been ordained, it has been. And that's why I know that whenever it gets its shine in the headlights, it's going to go very, very far.
It absolutely will. And like you said, the possibilities are endless. Your friend being a social worker, yes, absolutely. And, we previous episodes that we've had, we've talked about, because I live in Fort Bend County. So we've talked about sex trafficking, and we've talked about, abuse of young children. You could even, like, at another date and time, come up with something like that, so that these workers, or even just comfort too, like, you're not a lone bear, or just like, actually, I always say this because, with Unsocially Acceptable, and I think I explained this to you, the premise behind Unsocially Acceptable, we talk about the hard things. We talk about the things that don't fit with a social media filter. Like, you can't life isn't pretty all the time. You can't put a bow on something and just keep going. Sometimes you have to work through the hard. And these bears could even do that for some children.
Yes. And that's, and when you ask me, how did I come up with the name? In a sense, I knew that, like I said, my being is love. Like, everyone that I know, everyone that has encountered me, know that I am all about love. And so that's how the name Love came about. And so, like you said, the hard topics that aren't discussed, the things that we try to put a Band-Aid on, or, we don't really tap into that much just because of the vulnerability of it. That's when I was like, hey, these is, how my bears can come into play, to just kind of bring some type of comfort to anybody, even if they aren't learning from them. I feel that I've put enough love into these, where there's no one that encounters when you think of a bear, no matter the age, everyone loves a teddy bear, and I think the bright colors that I've kind of embedded into them, they're different. So every time a child encounters the bears, they smile. And if that's all that I can get from them, I feel like I've done something.
Well, I can tell you right now, you're getting smiles. Without a doubt, you're getting smiles. And you created Aussie, and Aussie is going to change lives.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about Warrior Moms. If I can just reach one mom, so that way she doesn't have to go through what I went through with my daughter and her epilepsy, and my daughter's special needs beyond epilepsy, and provide a community, to provide a safe place, to make somebody feel like they're not alone.
Yeah.
That is really what I'm trying to accomplish here. Because to me, you shouldn't have to, like, I don't think that my situation is unique. You know, I don't think that I'm special, but I know that I can lean into vulnerability, and that I can put myself out there, and that I know other people can't do that.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's why I do it. So that way the people who can't do it, they don't feel alone.
And see, and I love you, Trina. Oh my God. So you were kind of speaking to my spirit, girl. I don't So even with Ozzy, and when I created it, I thought about, as you tapped into, the mom who realizes that she has a special needs child, like you said, you're 15 years in it, so you kind of know your baby. Just imagine that mom who, just gave birth to a child, or, the child's now turning 1, and the child is not doing the things that, other 1-year-olds are doing, and that's when Ozzy come into play, of just kind of like that comfort of, hey, I got something that can kind of help my child. Because like I said, a lot of times when you're in it, you only think of yourself. But I tap back into that mom, that single mom, who has this special needs baby, or an autistic baby, who's just trying to find answers, because there aren't a lot of answers out there to help them. So I thought back to that mom, because even my child is, thank God, is healthy and everything, but it's hard. It's very, very hard to, try to help them learn the proper things, the nice things, when world is not so nice, and when you have this child who is, special needs, and the world can be so cruel. And I know I'm very protective over my baby, and I could just imagine if something, was, something that she lacked or everything, you hold them just a little bit tighter. So that's, like I said, when Ozzy came into play, I was like, I have to think about that single mom who's trying to transition and help her child learn how to potty, and it's just not working. Or if the child is hungry and he just can't verbally say, "Mommy, I'm hungry." So yeah, you hit so many nails, girl.
So let's see. We've got some more people commenting. So Esperanza, she says, "Hello, ladies." Esperanza was on the show also. She runs a huge epilepsy group, and she has her son, thankfully, is still seizure free. And so she has turned her, she has, since I guess she kind of has like a pause in her journey, she has decided to pay it forward, and she's out there helping other newly diagnosed parents. My animator says, "Excellent discussion, ladies. Thank you." Felicia, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. Felicia says, "These bears are so purposeful." I agree. I think so. And they're so, like, their purpose is still being defined. That's amazing. It's not just like, oh, we've got these 4 bears. That's it. No, we
are all in this together.
So you have some other bears to show, right? You have Ozzy, you have Tezzy, and then who is this guy?
This is Yancey. So Yancey does the days of the weeks and the months of the years in both English and Spanish. And then this one is, and it has the same type of concept where you click the paw, it says it's in English and it says it's in Spanish. So like I said, my daughter knows her days of the weeks at 2. She knew her days of the weeks, the months of the year in English and Spanish, just from my bear. And then we have Ori, which Ori does the alphabets and the numbers in both English and Spanish. So they both have the little concept, and it's all what I wanted to do was create a foundation for them. Of course, we can't teach them English, but when they have the second language, their ear is keen to hearing, tap into a second language, because, when school was closed down, I actually hired her a private tutor, to teach her Spanish. And I mean, she was pronouncing the words better than mommy. And I was like, Tori, what are you saying? And it's awesome about the Bears because I've even learned a second language, when I have the customers that can come, that come in and they speak Spanish to me. I don't know quite what they're saying, but I am able to decode and help them. So I feel proud. I feel like, as the code of, anybody in the health profession, we're supposed to help all. And I felt like, I'm doing some justice to them, to aid them into a healthy, status. So yeah. And then, like I said, yeah, these are the 4 that I have now, all of my little babies. So yeah, we'll be creating more and more and more and more.
But you also have like a little phone and tablet holder guy.
Yes. So this is Zoli. So Zoli has a thing this one was created because during, when moms, we try to prop up the phone when we're in restaurants so kids can watch their phone or, watch their favorite YouTube. So Zoli has little things where he can hold. I can kind of show you, I was recording, but he has it to where he grabs the phone here and it holds the phone while they can watch whatever they want, when they're out and about. So yeah, this is Zoli. So this was created, during, that mommy phase of trying, in the restaurant, single mom, Tori wants my phone. I'm trying to find a cup. It keeps falling down. So yeah, that's how all of my bears serve a purpose.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying all of them have some type of connection of a purpose to moms and, kids and families and dads and everything. So yeah.
I like that. And then it's cuddly enough that Tori can carry it in, so that's not something, it's like, get your bear, we're going to the store, or get your bear, we're going to the Popsitos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's so crazy about them is because, like I said, even if they don't use it as to form a language, they have a friend, and that's what Aussie was all about for me. I wanted them to feel like they, when they go to the mall or when they go out to eat, they have this friend where if they're fearful, they can just hug their teddy bear. So that's when, that's how, the whole, even Tori, like I said, now, she sleeps with some of the bears, and I'm like, you've been around these bears since you've been 1 year old. I would think she'd be tired of them, but she has built a connection to them where she still loves the bears.
No, absolutely. She's going to be 30 years old and she's going to have bears on her. They're going to be there. I guarantee it. I actually was a bear collector when I was younger. I still have my bears. I do.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe you heard of them. Do you remember Boyd's Bears?
No, I never heard of them.
So yeah, like I don't know where I found them one time, but I found Boyd's Bears and I was like, I have to collect these. So I still have them there, but they're in my garage right now.
Wow. That's the goal that I want, my bears to have, where they become collectible items. And it's so crazy because the people who have bought my bears, because originally my hair is just all sorry. Originally before I created Tezzy, I had bears where they were two-toned, such as this, and they just did the colors. So a lot of people, when they started selling fast, a lot of people bought them to save them as collectible items. They're like, these bears are going to be worth some money. So I'm completely sold out of those. But, as you said, as the collectible items, now those that have those bears, they've been saving them because they said these bears are going to be worth some money. I'm like, okay, girl.
I think so. I think it's a great product. And it would be, to have the first edition Aussie, that's and then you can even, like, 30 years from now, when you're some big business mogul, you could be like, oh, well, re-release the first edition Aussie, like that's amazing.
Yes. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like I said, and it's so crazy because I like to speak things into the atmosphere. I like to speak things into the world. And I remember I did a channel, I think it was channel Fox 26 or whatever it was. And I spoke it out into the world that I wanted my bears to, be in homes across the world. And Trina, when I first got I got a message of someone who was in in United Kingdom, and they wanted to purchase my bears. And I was like, wow, God, you heard me. And so I had to add international shipping to my bears, because now I've even gone, overseas to where people, have heard of Cubby Love Bears. So
Awesome. And you're only a year old. That's the amazing thing. So you're shipping, I didn't know this. So you're shipping outside of the US.
I am. To Australia. It's amazing, girl. It's amazing. And this is even before I just even, even before, I was on the Kelly Clarkson show, I was on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Yeah. I'm her look-alike. I don't know.
Yes, you are. So we were on the Kelly Clarkson show, actually, I think the last month. Yeah, so I landed the Kelly Clarkson show, which was amazing. I am a huge American Idol fan, but just for her or her producers to even know about how big is that? And like you said, I'm only a year. Yes. I was like, wow. So yeah, that was truly, truly amazing. Yeah.
That is amazing. So every time, I did something the other day, again, just because I'm new too. So when something like that happens, I'm like, wait, what?
Yes.
So I had something happen where I called and the person knew who I was. And I was like,
wait,
what?
Yes.
And then I said one time to somebody, I was like, somebody messaged me on Facebook, and I was talking to them, and she was like, "Oh yeah, my daughters have epilepsy." And I was like, "Oh wow." And I was like, I think I would have a really great outlet for you talking about Warrior Moms community.
Right.
And she was like, "Yeah, no, that's why I'm messaging you." I was like, oh, I guess you knew who I was.
Yes, and that's what I was like. Even the Kelly Clarkson experience was amazing, because Kelly Clarkson has one of my bears, girl. She has a Cubby Love Bear. Her producers wanted me to create a bear that said some of her favorite little, sayings. Mm-hmm. And so I feel honored for her to even have a bear in wherever she has it at. I don't care if she touched it. She has it somewhere. But yeah, she has a Cubby Love Bear.
That is so awesome. I would meet people and be like, my name is Trina. Kelly Clarkson has one of my bears.
Yes. I know, right? Yes. That one I was like, wow. Yeah.
That is so cool. No, I think that's awesome. And so my friend Susan Mobley just said hello, and I'm going to say hi to her, because Susan is also the host of a podcast called Find Her Seat. And she's here in the Houston area as well. And she focuses her show with her co-host Jennifer Brown Etter. They do Find Her Seat for women who are out there just like you, Tameka. Wow. I've actually been on her show myself. So these are women out there who are finding their own way. They are doing what they can to make the world a better place, and they are featured on this show called Find Her Seat. So I will actually probably send Susan a message in just a little bit.
Yes.
So thank you for watching. So he does her show twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So just a plug for my friend. Yes. And so I think what you are doing is amazing. And I know before the show we were talking, because you told me, you're like, I don't think I have an hour's worth of content. I told you 2 minutes. So you have done amazing things already in just 1 year. You've done amazing things that are going to impact and change people's lives. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to come onto my show, because I was kind of a little nervous about sending, because again, leaning into vulnerability and not wanting to think is my idea really good? Is it good enough to have this person who's created this wonderful product on my show? So I am so glad that I leaned into my vulnerability, was like, okay, if I get rejected by the publicist, I get rejected. So I'm going to try to be the owner of this company and see if she'll be on my show, because
and you say that, I was so excited, because when I looked into everything that you were about, even before, you talking with her and whatever, when I read over, I was like, I want to be on the show. It's Warrior's Mom. I don't know what Warrior Mom entails, but I want to be a Warrior Mom.
Well, you are definitely a Warrior Mom, because we actually did a show, which when I was still learning how to do all this stuff, I deleted it. But so we actually did a show that defined Warrior Mom. And a warrior mom is anybody who's out there doing her best to raise a child, a fully functioning member of society, you know, like wants to do the best that she can. And she is making amazing things happen. And so you hit every qualification on that. You are a warrior mom, and we are happy to have you in this community, and we are happy to whatever which way to help you grow. And I offer this to everybody because I truly believe in everyone that I have on my show is out there trying to do amazing and wonderful things to make the world a better place. And you know, I want to say this because you said something a little bit earlier. You know, you're like, I always wanted to change the world. And again, we're similar in age, and that's how we were raised. We were raised that we could do anything that we could possibly want to do, and that's this generation. Right. And so I kind of, and I'm going to, again, lean into vulnerability here. I've been for a while prior to Warrior Moms, prior to 2020, I was really down on myself because I didn't think that I was doing anything to make the world a better place, that I was just going through the motions. I would get up, go to work, sit in traffic, then go to work, then sit in traffic again, and then come home and watch TV or whatever. And, you know, it's like for you to go from teaching to being a pharmacist, and for me to do what I do, you're never too old. And if you lean into your vulnerability and you follow your passions, doors will open for you. Opportunity will present itself, but you have to be willing to take that. Oh, I just knocked over my mic. You have to be willing to take that first step, lean into your vulnerability, because again, we were raised with the idea that we're like a blank slate of potential. And then when we become adults and life happens and things happen. But I love that you followed your passion and you are going to change people's lives. And I'm so thankful for you for coming onto my show. And again, when you come up with your thing in December, reach out to me because I'm looking for December. Like, I mean, I've got November is I'll just say it to the audience now. I've had some medical issues, so I'm having a hysterectomy. That will be in the middle of November. So, but I plan to do a couple shows in December, so or even in January. So whenever you're ready.
Yes, we have connected on another level. And like I said, even I'm glad that I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
The little that I do know of your story, just, you know, I'm thankful that you stepped out and did this, because I'm able to be now vulnerable. You know, a lot of times when I'm in front of the camera, I have to put on this professionalism, you know, and not show my vulnerability. But I thank you for creating this platform that allows me to open up and really share who I am and my thoughts and everything. So, you know, now that you have a purpose, continue the purpose, continue going, don't stop, because you are making a difference as well.
Thank you so much for that. Because again, you know, imposter syndrome takes over. And so thank you so much for that. And Felicia did say a comment. She did, God bless you all. I'm sorry, I cannot read. God bless you, ladies, and all that you do. You're making a difference. Godspeed. So I thank you so much for being on the show tonight. And we are getting at that hour mark, so I'm going to make some announcements for next week's episode. We have the ladies of Vintage Hope Boutique, which is a boutique here out in the Richmond-Rosenberg area. Elise and Katie are going to be on the show tonight. They're partners. Elise has a newly diagnosed child with autism, and her friend Katie, who they co-own this boutique. Katie has a child who also has autism and epilepsy. So in addition to that, Katie and Elise both have been very, very outspoken and leaning into vulnerability as well, and talking about mental health because they've struggled in the year, as many of us have. And so I, again, love what they are doing, and that they're using their platform to not only, you know, have their boutique, but to reach people and make a difference.
Yes, I'll be watching.
Absolutely. I'd love to have you watch. It's one more viewer. And then I won't have to like make my mom watch every week. Come on, mom, comment.
Yes, I know, right? That was the same thing with me. I'd be like, family members, come on and say something.
Yeah, I'm like, check my friends. They all like my friends are all watching this show, and I'm just like, are you guys sharing? Because I can't know
Right.
what's going on, but I'm
Yeah.
really hoping they are.
It's amazing. A lot of times just keep putting your best foot forward and you'd be surprised of the people you'll reach. You'll be
Yes, absolutely. Because like you said, or like Maya said, it's all ordained by God. This is God's plan. When you're on God's path, that's the way you need to go. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to order from you, they go to cubbylovebears.com.
Yes.
And
cubbylovebears.com. I have everything on there. Any questions or anything, I'm like I said, I'm attached to my brand. So any questions you have, I will answer them. Even if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to answer. That's how much passion I have behind my brand. It's my other baby.
well, I hope nobody messages you at 1 in the morning. Like, let's just like hold your comments until 7 a.m.
Yeah, somewhere across the world, it's
oh yeah
noon. So yeah,
you're right. That's because you are international. I didn't even. Cubbylovebears.com, you guys. Get yourself an Aussie, get yourself a little cell phone holder, because I know some of y'all are tired of holding your phones. So just at the very least, get a cell phone holder. And then I think that your orange one is Astro's orange.
Yes. Told you we're girls. You remember girls.
So thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions, if you have any follow-up, just go ahead and #replay. And then we will try our best to follow up with you. If you want to send me a message, you can do so on my Facebook page or at warriormomspodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions for Tameka and you can't reach Tameka for some reason, just send them to me and I will forward them on to Tameka. But thank you so much, you guys. I will see you next week for Elise and Katie of Vintage Hope Boutique. You guys have a wonderful Wednesday evening.
Bye.